Hello, this is Heather at Change Path Crochet. In this video, I will do a tutorial on how to do the corner to corner or C2C join in the 3D Squares Illusion Afghan. So you can see here I have two squares that are identical, and I'm going to show you how to do the join between them. So first of all, let's get situated. You want to make sure that you have the right side facing on both of these squares and all of them when you're joining them. And that means that the first round of the color A square is facing you, or alternatively, you could say the last row that you made on the granny square has the back side facing you. So start with that. And then you want both squares to be facing the same direction. That is, you want this diagonal line to be facing in the same direction on both of these. And you also want to make sure that color B is on top, color C is on the left, and then that means that everything is aligned. So this is corner to corner, which means we're working diagonally. So the first few rows are only attached to one square, one granny square, and then you join with the other one. So before we get started, I do want to show you how to count. So the pattern says that you want to join with a slip stitch you're just going to start in the corner. And then you want to skip 2 stitches and then slip stitch in the next one. And so the way we're going to count is each double crochet here counts as 1 stitch. Each chain counts as 1 stitch as well, okay, across here. And then when you get to the side where we're working in the edges of the rows, then you want to count each row as 2 stitches. So each row is either a chain 3 or it's a double crochet. And in each of those instances, those count as 2 stitches. So some people get a little confused with the 3 chains on the edge of one row. That only counts as 2. So just ignore one of them, basically. So that counts as 2 stitches, and then the double crochet counts as 2 stitches when we're counting on the edge. So that'll be a little more clear when we get going. Okay, so I'm using this sort of neutral color in the pattern. I used a dark color for this just so you can see it. I'm going to use a lighter color. And this is going to be square X, the one that I'm starting with. The other one is square Y, and I'm going to put square Y just off to the side here for now. So with square X, you want to join with a slip stitch in the corner. I just like to do a slip knot just to hold it. But whatever your preferred technique is, pull up a loop. And then chain 6. And then this is corner to corner, so we're going to do 3 double crochets, 1 in each of the 4th, 5th, and 6th chain from the hook. Okay, so we have our first C2C square here. I need to skip 2 stitches. So that's 1, 2, skip 2 stitches and slip stitch to the next stitch. And then I'm going to chain 3 and skip 2 stitches. That's the chain here, and then the next double crochet. And so I'm going to slip stitch in the next one there. Okay, so that's the first row. I'm going to chain 3 And just a quick note before I turn. So normally when we do corner to corner stitch, we have 6 chains, and then we start the next row. So this is essentially acting as our 6 chains. We have the 3 here, then we did a slip stitch, and then we have 3 more chains. So that counts as our 6 chains. We're just attaching them in different places along the granny square. Okay, so now I'm going to turn, and then I'm going to do 3 double crochets in that chain 3 that's up against the granny square. And then slip stitch to the chain 3 that's on the top of this square. Chain 3, and then do 3 more double crochets in that same chain 3 space. So that's row 2. We're going to chain 6, and then turn again. I'm going to do my 3 double crochets in those chains. Then flip it. So again, we're doing corner to corner, so we want to work diagonally here. Slip stitch in the top of the next square, chain 3, 3 double crochets, slip stitch to the top of the next square, chain 3, and 3 double crochets. And then skip 2 stitches. So that's 1, and then the next chain, and slip stitch into the next one. And then I want to chain 3, skip 2 stitches, and slip stitch in the next one. In this case, it is this chain, so I can just go ahead and slip stitch in the space there. Chain 3, and again that acts as our chain 6 to start the next row. So I'm going to turn and then do 3 double crochets in that chain 3 space, slip stitch to the top of the next square, chain 3, 3 double crochets, slip stitch to the top of the next one, chain 3, and on up the stairs. Okay, so we're at the end of row 4, and I just want to show you where we are. So let me lay this down. I'm going to flip it over back to the same direction where we started, okay? So this is the back of row 4, just so you know what you're looking at. So I have square X. I've done the first 4 rows of corner to corner right here. And now this is where we need to start joining square Y. Similar to how we were doing this over here, where we joined in the corner, skip 2 stitches, and then slip stitch in the next one, skip 2, slip stitch in the next one, and keep going like that. We're going to do the same thing on square Y. And it's a little bit different because we're coming at it at a different angle, but it's essentially the same kind of idea. Okay, so I'm going to hold these in place here because it makes it a little bit easier to figure out where I am. So let me grab my hook here and sort of flip it like this. So same place. And I need to do just 1 slip stitch in the corner, okay? Rotate around. And then just like we normally do with corner to corner, we're going to decrease now. So we're slip stitching in 3 stitches. We're going to skip 2 stitches on the square and then insert our hook in the next one and in this chain 3 space on the corner to corner. Okay, so I just want to show you that. So we're kind of working on the back on this side now that I flipped it over. Just want to show you how that looks. Then we're going to chain 3, skip 2 stitches on this side, and then slip stitch in the next one. Okay. So I've just done a chain 3 and slip stitch in the next after I skip 2 stitches. And then I need to rotate it again. I think that's why this part is so tricky, is just figuring out where you are in relation to the corner to corner. So just remember, this is just like a regular corner to corner, but we're adding some slip stitches in here to join the granny squares. So I've got my chain 3, and now I can go up the stairs of the corner to corner. So I'm doing my 3 double crochets. Slip stitch, and then chain 3, and then do 3 double crochets. So again, just like a regular corner to corner, we're going to go up the stairs. Okay, so same as before, when we join to square X, we want to skip 2 stitches and slip stitch in the next one, and then chain 3, skip 2 stitches and slip stitch in the next one, and then chain 3, and then flip this over. To go up the stairs in this direction. So I'll do my 3 double crochets, slip stitch, chain 3, and 3 double crochets. And then keep doing that till I'm at the top. Okay. Okay, so we're going to, so let me show you. I've just done row 6, done the 4 squares, and now we need to connect it over here and then go this way. So I'm going to find the space. So you can see here we have our 3 double crochets, we have our chain 3. So you want to kind of create a gap here between the chain 3 and the other square, the other granny square, and we're going to slip stitch just in that gap. Okay. So I've connected that here. Then we're going to turn. Just like we would if we were doing corner to corner. We're going to slip stitch in these 3 stitches on the corner to corner. And then when we do the next one, we're going to first connect it to the square. So skip 2 stitches, that's this double crochet and the chain, put the hook in the next stitch and in that chain 3 space on the corner to corner square and slip stitch. So now I need to chain 3 so I have a place to do the next corner to corner square. So I'm going to chain 3, skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and the chain is the next one, so I'll just go ahead and slip stitch in that space. And then we need to turn. And then double crochet 3 times. And go up the stairs. Skip 2 stitches and slip stitch in the next one, and then chain 3, skip 2 stitches, and we should be in the chain 2 space on the other side of the color A square. So go ahead and slip stitch there. Oop. Okay, so just show you where we are. That's the end of row 7. And the way you can count this is on the larger side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's how you can tell what row you're on. So when we do the chain 3 at the end of row 7, we should end up in the other corner of this color A square. Okay. So now I'm going to chain 3 and flip it to the next side. For row 8, do my 3 double crochets, slip stitch on top, and then just keep going. Again, when we get to the top here, we need to connect it in this corner. So slip stitch there between the chain 3 and the other square. And then we need to turn and slip stitch in the next 3 double crochets, skip 2 stitches on square Y, insert the hook in the next stitch and in that chain 3 space on the corner to corner stitch or square, and slip stitch. Chain 3, skip 2 stitches, that's the chain in the next one, and then slip stitch in the next stitch. Turn. And it's really up to you which way you put this yarn. I mean, if you want, you can put it on this side. I would just, whichever you choose, just stay consistent and it'll look like you wanted it to be that way. Okay, so again, we're gonna go up the hill. So 3 double crochets, slip stitch to the top, and keep going. Got a fuzz, there we go. Okay, so we are at the top of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, row 9. And this is where we need to start counting on the edges of the rows. So remember, each row counts as 2 stitches when you're counting. So you count 2 stitches and you're just gonna skip those and then you're gonna go into the next stitch. And so I've got a chain 3 here that only counts as 2. And then I've got a double crochet after that, that only counts as 2. So I'm gonna skip 2 stitches. So that means I'm skipping this whole chain 3. I'm gonna skip this row and then slip stitch into the next one. So, and the way I like to do this, if you look at the double crochet, you can see there's sort of 2 natural holes here. One here and then one here. So you can count those as the 2 stitches. So I'm gonna skip 1, 2, which is that chain 3, and slip stitch into the next part of that double crochet. I need to chain 3 and skip 2 more. So the one here, and then half of this chain 3. And then I'm just gonna, the way I'm gonna count this, because I've got 3 chains, 1, 2, 3. So I'm just gonna ignore this one. That's that's at the top because it's so close to this double crochet. So just pretend like it's not there. So I'm gonna count, I need to skip 2. So the top of the double crochet, this one chain here, that's what I'm gonna skip, and I'm gonna crochet in this next chain. And slip stitch there. So don't put the hook in, or don't put the slip stitch into this whole thing, or you're gonna end up with big gaps, but actually stitch into that chain. Just so you can see what we're doing here. So now I'm going to chain 3 like before, turn, and then do my corner to corner. 3 double crochets, slip stitch in the top of the next one, and then just keep going. this around, it folded itself. Okay, so again, I need to stitch here between the chain 3 and the other square, granny square, and then turn, slip stitch in the 3 double crochets, skip 2 stitches on this square, and then slip stitch in the next one, chain 3, skip 2 more stitches, and then go in that chain. And so we keep going like this. So I admit it's a little tricky at first, especially like just figuring out how you move around the squares. Once you get going, I think you get into a rhythm. So hopefully it'll be okay once you get past the first few rows. Okay, so here we are again at the side of the rows. So the last one I did was in the second chain here. So I need to skip 2 stitches. That means I'm skipping the whole double crochet on the side here and then stitching in the first chain. If I can get the hook in there. There we go. Chain 3. And then skip 2 more, so that then I'm skipping the top chain, or the second chain that I'm counting as a stitch, and then the bottom part of this double crochet and stitching in the top part of the double crochet. Chain 3 and then turn. And then do our corner to corner. Okay, so we're at the top of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And so I'm going to slip stitch in between the chain 3 and the granny square. Turn and then slip stitch into the 3. Skip 2 stitches and then insert the hook in the next one, and in that chain 3 on the corner to corner, slip stitch, chain 3, skip 2 stitches, and then slip stitch again. Turn. And then do the corner to corner. So my last slip stitch was in the top of this double crochet. So I need to skip the 2 chains and then slip stitch in the bottom part of the next double crochet. Chain 3, and then skip the top part of that same double crochet and the bottom chain, so slip stitch in the second chain. And then chain 3, and turn. And then do your corner to corner. So I need to slip stitch between the chain 3 and the granny square. And then turn. Slip stitch in the 3 double crochets. Skip 2 stitches on the granny squares and then insert the hook in the next stitch and in the chain 3 and then slip stitch. Chain 3, skip 2 more, slip stitch in the chain. Do our corner to corner. Almost done here. So my last one was in the top of the chain row. So I need to skip the 2 parts of the double crochet and slip stitch in the bottom chain. And then I'm going to chain 3. And then we're at the end here. Going to skip the top chain and the bottom part of this one. I'm really just going to slip stitch in the top stitch. So there's 4 stitches here at the end, just slip stitch in the top one. That gets us to the corner. Chain 3. And let's see, what row are we on here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So this is row 16. I've done my chain 3. I'm gonna turn. And then do my corner to corner. So slip stitch between the chain 3 and the granny square. Turn. So row 16 that we just finished is the last one that has 4 squares. Okay. So we're going to turn. Where are we? Okay. So that's the end of row 16. Row 16 is the last one that has 4 squares. So we're going to start decreasing here so that we come out straight across the top. So we're going to slip stitch in those 3 double crochets, skip 2 stitches on square Y, insert the hook in the next stitch and in the chain 3. But try not to lose your hook. Okay, slip stitch, chain 3, skip the next 2, which is the chain and this next double crochet, and then slip stitch in the next stitch. Turn, and then we only need to do 3 squares. Okay, so row 17, we end with a slip stitch after 3 squares. And we're almost done. Row 18, we turn and slip stitch in the next 3 double crochets and in this chain 3 space on the side, chain 3. And rotate, do my 3 double crochets, slip stitch, chain 3, do 3 more double crochets, and that's it for row 18. So we're going to slip stitch between the chain 3 and the granny square, turn, and slip stitch in the next 3 double crochets, skip 2 stitches on the granny square, 1, 2, and then in this double crochet, and in the chain 3 on the corner to corner, slip stitch, chain 3, and then we're at the corner. So we skip these 2 stitches and then we're in the corner. Slip stitch in the corner. Okay, so now I just have 1 square left. So I'm gonna turn around, do my 3 double crochets, and then slip stitch. So there we go. So we have a corner to corner that is 4 squares by 16 squares. And then you would just go ahead and finish that off. So just a few more notes about the remaining joins. We always start in the lower left-hand corner of every corner to corner. So every time we're starting in this lower left-hand corner and going up and to the right. And so the next one, we would just add another square, do the same thing, start in this bottom left corner, and then work our way that way. When you're joining the collar or the rows, so you're going to create rows across, and then you need to join the rows. And so in that case, you're joining not to the sides, but to the top and the bottom. But it's the same idea, the way you're skipping the stitches and joining. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. You can email me at heather@changepathcrochet.com or reach out to me wherever you purchase the pattern. I hope that helps. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. Enjoy.